Welcome to Motherhood from the Brain, a podcast guiding moms of preteen girls on how to navigate emotional challenges that are not addressed in school. We share real stories, expert advice, and brain-based methods for handling tough moments. Discover insights to create a deeper connection with your preteen and improve your motherhood journey. Let's tackle the uncharted territory of parenting together. Hosted by professional certified coach, Esther Babazi.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Motherhood and the Brain podcast, a podcast that guides moms who want to improve their relationships, who want to feel better about themselves, who want to feel good about themselves as they raise their preteen daughters. Before we begin, I would like to state a small disclaimer. I am not a psychiatrist or psychologist or any other licensed mental health worker. On this podcast, Motherhood and the Brain, I am just sharing what has worked for me in my life, what has helped me improve my mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Because I know that there are many mothers out there who are in the same place I was or I am, who are facing the same challenges that I face, and they think that there is something wrong with them because of how they feel. And I'm here to tell you that there is nothing wrong with you. There is totally, absolutely nothing wrong with you. Whatever you feel is very normal and is very relatable. Many people feel like that. In today's episode, I am going to talk about why it is important to let our preteens feel discomfort. And this is important because while we aim to ensure that our children are happy and successful by shielding them from negative emotion, we may unknowingly hinder or prevent their emotional growth. As mothers, we have this evolutionary desire to protect our children from pain and discomfort. And I understand, on the surface, it seems like the right thing to do. But you and I now know, the way this world works, at least the world we live in today, there is going to be some pain. There is going to be some level of discomfort anywhere, anytime. And when we do not let our children learn that, when we do not let them work through that on their own, we actually rob from them this skill of learning and adjusting to the way the world works. Because, I don't know, somehow in this world, we started thinking that when we don't feel good, when we feel sad, for example, when we feel unhappy, when we feel discouraged, frustrated, or sad, sometimes we think that there's something wrong with us. And then we work so hard to get away from feeling uncomfortable, feeling discouraged and sad and frustrated. We have been taught that happiness is the ultimate goal. So we work so hard, not only in our lives, but in our kids' lives to make sure they are happy. And I don't know about you, but I have found that I can't do that. I cannot make my child happy, and they cannot make me happy. I cannot make them happy, and however much I work, however much I try to do that, it does not work, because happiness and sadness and all those other feelings, they are what we call an inside job. They come from the inside. Another person cannot make you sad or happy because it starts on the inside. It starts with what we are thinking. For example, if your preteen is feeling sad or disappointed or frustrated, and you let them be sad and frustrated and disappointed, they will develop what we call resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, the ability to bounce back from adversity. For example, if your preteen feels sad about not being invited to a friend's birthday party, they can learn to cope with disappointment and find alternative ways to have fun. I know it pains, especially us who are on the sidelines watching. It's very painful. That is why we work overtime to get involved. And for example, this party thing, I don't know about it, but it's very real. Like when your child is not invited, and then they feel sad. And then as a mother, because you mean well, you get only involved. You pick up your phone and you try to call and influence to get her to be invited. What you're doing is, on the surface, it seems like you're doing it for your child, but you are doing it for your own benefit because you feel bad because they feel sad or let down or angry, whatever they are feeling. And because you don't want to see them like that, you feel a certain way yourself. You feel like maybe you think that your brain thinks that you are not a good mother. Why is your child not invited? Like, what have you done wrong? Then you get all involved trying to get her invited so you can feel good. I know this is like deeper work, but when you look at it, this is what we are doing. Because experiencing fear and frustration can help our preteens develop empathy for others who are going through similar situations. For example, if my child or if your child has been excluded or lonely or like alone, they may become more understanding and supportive of a friend who is experiencing something similar. So we have, like, it is always important to examine the reasons why we feel compelled to get involved and to shield our children from uncomfortable emotion, from feeling uncomfortable, from feeling discomfort. And usually, like I said, it is about us because we want to feel validated, because we don't want to feel inadequate as mothers, because we have control issues, because there are all these societal pressures. My child was not invited to a birthday party. What does that mean? What will the neighbors think? What will the other moms think? Like, sometimes we have difficult setting boundaries, and that is why we get too involved in our kids' lives. Like, our lives are enmeshed in our kids' lives, and we do not see clearly where our boundary stops and where their boundary starts. I mentioned validation earlier and approval from our children because we feel a sense of failure. If our child feels like he's excluded and is going through some tough situation, some tough period of discomfort and difficulty, we or you may intervene excessively because you want to maintain some sort of facade of perfection and avoid judgment from others. Like, this is what I said earlier. What will the other moms think? Like, why is my child not involved? Why is my child not invited? What does that mean about me as a mother? What does that mean about my child? What does that mean about the way I have raised her? And the fear of being inadequate. If your child is not invited, for example, excluded from a group, you may fear that your child's emotional discomfort reflects poorly on your abilities as a mother. You may worry that your preteen's difficulties are a reflection of your own inadequacies, and this will lead you to overcompensate by trying to control and solve her problems. And I don't know about you, but one thing I have learned, like, our children have boundaries and they always put those boundaries up when we are getting too involved. The whole slamming door thing, when you go to your child's room and they slam the door in your face, that is a boundary for them. Like, now you are intruding in my space. When you go to speak to them, this has happened to me, like, I don't know, a million times. I go to speak to my child and maybe we talk a little and then they will ask me to leave. Can you leave now? That is like a boundary for them. Like, I'm now enmeshing my boundaries with them and the boundaries are becoming like blurry. So they will ask me to leave. But because children do not have the vocabulary that we have, they do not know how to articulate themselves the way we adults do. They do not know how to articulate how they feel in relationship to what they think. They'll just slam the doors in our face. They'll ask us to leave. They'll give us the cold shoulder. Maybe they will yell at us, especially if we are like going in too much. These are all some kind of boundaries or warning signals that stop now. Now you are getting too involved in my life. Go now. Leave. Give me a break. But because we don't know these things, we think they are being rude. Again, we are making it about us. We think that they are being rude. We think they are being annoying. We think they are being disrespectful. But we are actually being disrespectful. We are not respecting their space. And if we want to teach them respect, I think we need to model what respect is. But when we are modeling disrespect to them, they are going to do the same thing back to us. And one of the risks of overprotection or getting too involved in our children's lives is them unconsciously stunting their growth, robbing from them building the skill, how to build the skill of resilience, and this will lead to facing difficulties in adulthood. It is important to let them experience discomfort and learn from their own mistakes rather than constantly intervening and shielding them from adversity. Because like I said, the way the world works, they are not always going to have their mama to come up and solve something for them. They are not always going to have their dad, their sister, I don't know. Many times we have to learn to solve these things alone. And here is the irony. Our children live with us for, depending on which culture, but in many Western countries, children leave home at 18. Many children leave home at 18. They can move out at 18. And if we have not equipped them with these skills of learning to solve their own problems, and all of a sudden we let them off and we send them to go out and tackle the world, they don't know what to do. But when we let them face setbacks and learn from failure, they develop coping skills and a sense of perseverance that will serve them well throughout life. When you let your preteen make mistakes, she has the chance to learn from them and develop problem-solving skills through figuring out her own solutions and handling challenges and adapting to new situations. I'm going to share a personal story. A few times now, my preteen has come home from school in tears over what I will call friendship drama. And despite my strong urge to get involved, I choose not to. And I'm saying it's not easy, but I choose not to get involved. Instead, I let her know that I am available to talk when she needs me. And sometimes she will talk, sometimes she will not. And that's okay with me. I just have to go and do my own work on that. And even the time that she comes to me for help, I don't offer advice. Instead, I ask her questions that lead her to her own answers. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm not saying it's not doable either. It's tough, but I remember being a preteen, there was a lot of drama in school, there was a lot of tears then. And when I look back now, I never went to my mother to solve my problems. I don't think I ever went to my mother to ask her how to do something. I don't think I ever did that. And somehow I survived and I'm here. And I'm not saying it's easy. Because when you see your child crying, coming home from school in tears, it's like I have to do a lot of managing my own brain for me not to get involved, for me not to find out what happened, for me not to, even when I know what happened, for me not to go and speak to those children or call their parents. It takes a lot of managing my brain not to do that. And I'm so thankful that I have that skill, that I treat myself with grace and kindness, even when I want to do it, but I don't. I just let my brain freak out and tell me all these things, but I don't give into my brain to go over there and clean out her path. Our children may be facing discomfort, but it is through that discomfort that their life actually has meaning. For us, like I live in the Northern Hemisphere, and we right now, like spring is starting, and we look forward to spring because of the long and dark winter, long, dark and cold winter. So what we actually call uncomfortable emotion or discomfort goes hand in hand with comfortable emotion. And this is what makes this life so beautiful. Think about it. Your child would not know joy if it were not for sadness. You would not know love without grief or loss. That is why when we lose people that are very dear to us, we feel grief, we feel a sense of loss. It is because we love those people. If we did not love those people, we would not feel grief. We would not feel a sense of loss. Like there would be day. There would not be day without night. Think about it. It is because of the long dark night that we look forward to the morning. So even when your child is feeling discomfort, is going through something, there's another reason behind that. When they are finished with that, then they will feel happy, or they will feel joyous, or they will, whatever it is that they will feel. But that is how life is. Life is intertwined. Life has contrasts. Life is not like one-sided. It has contrasts. And it is those contrasts that help us grow, and it is those contrasts that give meaning to life. You just think about it. If you go back in your head and see all the times you have tried to get involved in your child's life. In my situation, she resists. And at least the times when I did not have this awareness, she resisted. And when she resisted, because I made it mean something about me, I even attempted to control her more, like to get involved more, like to find out more what is going on. Because my brain was so fixated on what that means. When she resisted and put up a wall, the more I became more involved because of what I was making it mean. And this is when the yelling starts, because we attempt to make them listen to what we are saying. We attempt to make them open themselves, and they don't open themselves up for us. Then the yelling starts in an attempt to force her to open or up or take our advice. And before you know it, it becomes like some negative loop. But now that I know, thanks to this awareness and thanks to doing this work, I know that when my child is sad or in distress, I know that she's just going through what being human actually is. I know that that time will pass. I know that that is preparing her, that is teaching her a skill that sometimes we feel sad and sometimes we are not sad. And that is how human life is. And when my child is in distress, I know that I'm going to feel sad as well, because I think why is she going through this? She should not be feeling like this. Children should be whatever my brain makes up. So even though I feel sad for her for being sad, I let myself be sad. I'm not all over in her business. And I'm not saying it's not uncomfortable. It is very uncomfortable for me to watch, but I can go and work on myself and try to manage my brain around that without me getting too involved. Because I know this experience will not kill her. I know she's learning a skill, and I know this is what is being human. Sometimes we are going to cry. Sometimes we are going to feel sad. Sometimes we are going to fight with our friends. Sometimes we are all these things. And one thing that keeps me going is I don't know what happened. between her and her friends. I don't know what happened. And maybe it was her fault. I don't know. Children. So I work on my brain, and before I know it, she comes to me to tell me what happened. And 9 out of 10 times, it is not what I thought it was, at least according to what she shares with me. So it is okay that your child is annoyed, is sad, is frustrated, is fighting with her friend. It is okay. You do not have to rush there and sweep her path, clean out the stuff, because many times she will not let you. Even when she lets you do that, you are not teaching her. What your child is going through has nothing to do with you, with your parenting abilities. Your child is going through her own human experience. She's experiencing human emotion. We have what we have come to call uncomfortable emotion, the anger, fear, sadness, and all those frustration. And we have what we have come to call comfortable emotions, laughter, joy, elation, happy, all those things. We human beings classified emotions depending on how they make us feel. We have uncomfortable and comfortable. And uncomfortable emotion, though very uncomfortable, will not kill your child. It will not. We just have to learn that, and then we can help them process. By the way, 9 out of 10 times, my child does not like processing emotion with me. And somehow I make that mean something about me. Especially since I help other mothers do that. My own child, 9 out of 10 times, she says no. So, there we are. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you again next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Your time means the world to us. If you found this episode valuable, we would be immensely grateful if you could spare a moment to visit Apple Podcasts and share your thoughts through a review. Your feedback plays a vital role in helping fellow moms discover our podcast and enrich their own motherhood experiences. Take care, and bye for now.